So Tony Barnes from Cyber Partners Australia here in Brisbane, and also have a business called Cyberfi, which I'd like to talk to everyone about, which is an online cyber awareness training platform, because all things cyber are super important. Anyone will not have failed to hear about the Optus issue that they are dealing with, and that 9 million Australians are probably dealing with in terms of their data sets being done potentially on the dark web. So I mean, it's a awfully big issue, but the fundamental issue around cybersecurity is it's important to everybody in every single business. So I've been asked to talk about vulnerabilities, but to be honest, there are so many vulnerabilities in a business, because we're all just people using technology to do business. We're just completely strapped to devices and using data, and we're being asked to give data and receive data and manage data. And data is the oil or the gold that makes everything work in this sort of hyper-connected world, and we have to protect it. And the bigger we are, the more we have to protect it. But the smaller as well, small business, manages a lot of very sensitive data as well, and vast sums of money can pass through small businesses as well. So it's something that we all have to understand and be aware of. So I've got one slide I'd just like to share with everybody, if that's okay. I'm gonna quickly share. Hopefully you can see my screen. Can someone confirm for me you can see that screen and I haven't just put my email up? Thank you very much. So one slide from me, and these are 5 things I think it's really important to know from a small business perspective or a medium business perspective, but it's practical for everybody, the individual and large enterprise business as well. Small business is disproportionately affected by cybercrime in terms of time, money, and disruption. If you're a small team of people and you get ransomware in your system, or you have a data breach or whatever, this is going to consume an extraordinary amount of time, energy, effort, resources, and fixing things. If you are fixing your own PCs, good luck. If you haven't got good people that ready to support you, you've got your little army lined up behind you of advisors and people that you know and trust to do this, it's going to take a lot longer. So, being prepared is really important. But it's really important to know that 65% of all cybercrime happens to small businesses. And that's largely because of point number 2. I think a lot of people think that their businesses are small. What happened to me? Security through obscurity is not a defense. It's not going to help you because of point 3. Phishing, ransomware, assuming what everyone knows what a phishing email is. It's an attempt to get something from you by pretending to be someone else, basically, or something else. These are industrial, automated processes and are completely indiscriminate. Some are very targeted at you. Some are done on a completely automated basis. But this is just the way things are. And really, in the last month or 2, I would say that the game has changed quite substantially. There's just been an upping of the industrialization of ransomware, of malware, of distribution of phishing emails. And it's an absolute onslaught. You're seeing entire countries being taken offline. Countries like Guatemala, countries like Costa Rica, their entire governments have been taken out in the last few months, simply because of unpatched or unprotected servers or whatever, things that people could have put into place. Point 4, 90% of all cyber attacks start with a phishing email. So that is some kind of attempt through your inbox. And it's important to understand what they are and how to recognize them potentially. And a lot of issues happen because what we call insider threat. And that isn't necessarily somebody malicious doing something against your business, although it happens. About 8% of all cyber attacks are because someone in your business does something pretty nefarious with your data or whatever, and the really nasty ones tend to be those. But most arise from poorly trained people just making mistakes. I saw one last week of a large-scale HR onboarding process of a company we were doing some work for, and we were sort of being copied in on a few things that we probably shouldn't have been copied into. And before I knew it, I saw 90 or so email addresses in in a CC all of people who were joining another firm, the following month. Well, thank you for telling me who might be just about to give their notice, into those companies. This is a classic data breach just done by somebody emailing something they really shouldn't have done. And there were passports flying around and all sorts of stuff. So people untrained on process, not certain what to do, or why to do it, how to do it is classic ways to lose your data. Emailing the wrong spreadsheet still happens, and this is also avoidable. So just to recap, small business disproportionately affected. Security through obscurity is not a defense. Things are automated and industrial. 90% of stuff will start in your inbox, and people making mistakes are a real problem. So where to start with all of this? Well, fundamentally, if you're going to change that, there are 5 things to tackle, and I'll drop off this slide in a second. I'll just walk you through those in a moment. But small business must develop a strong culture of security awareness that stops the ignorance and helps employees to spot problems and spot attacks early, saving time, money, disruption, and building engagement and trust with your team, with your staff, and more importantly, with your customers. If people can trust you and think that you're doing the right thing by them, they probably will. I'm just going to stop that share for a minute and just drop back because I want to talk about 5 things. I mean, that's sort of context. And there are 5 ways that you really need to sort of broadly attack this issue of cyber awareness. First is policy. The second is process. The third is people. The fourth is protection. And the fifth is preparedness. So policy, what is okay within your organization? What are people allowed to do and what they're not? Don't underestimate the value of a really good policy. I've said for a long time that cybersecurity does not start with C, it starts with P. It's P for policy. And then how we work, what we can do, the processes. What is our process if we're onboarding people? Do we use email or do we use some kind of information system that's probably a lot better protected than just any old email being sent out to get people to show you their passports or driver's licenses or various things like that. People are everything. Every business relies on people and technology. At the end of the day, if we don't have trained people who are engaged, we're going to have a lot of problems. So, and that, given that we're expecting them just to be able to use technology these days, training is fundamental to that. Protection is very important. So that's the technology, buying technology stuff. But it's one of the 5 things you need to do. You can buy loads and loads of protection. You can buy firewalls and antivirus and all sorts of great things. Some will solve very, very small problems in your business for a lot of money. And then things like training your people for not very much money is going to solve 80% of your problems. So start with your training, start with your people, start with those processes, and then think about protection as you sort of get a bit more in depth. And then being prepared for an attack, being prepared for having data backups. If you lost your data, if you lost a machine to ransomware, where would you get your data back from? If you haven't prepared with a backup, good luck. And I mean that in all sincerity, but you haven't got a lot of chance of getting it back. So policy, process, people, protection and preparedness are really what we need to be thinking about. So that's just a bit of a tour de force. We could talk forever about cybersecurity vulnerabilities and threats and solving specific issues. I think we just got to really helicopter right up to this level and start talking about those big things and finding solutions for all of that. So talking of solutions, if you don't mind, I'm just going to share my screen one more time. And again, here we go. Hopefully you can see that. This is the website to Cyberfy, which is a business that we founded here. It rides on the sort of the legacy, if you like, of us training people. We've trained about 20,000 people in Australia and New Zealand over the last 7 years or so. A lot of that was face-to-face. Some of it was online. We've built all sorts of platforms and used all sorts of different tools to do it. And we've probably trained in the order of about 500 or 600 board directors as well. ASX, 200 businesses and various things like that. It's been very, very successful. We poured all of that into this platform because at the end of the day, we thought there's a big gap here. How do I access training without doing an expensive face-to-face course? Do I need to put all my people in a room? We need to be doing this regularly. all the time. It needs to be updated, and it needs to be done at the pace of the individual. You know, because we're all busy, we've all got too much to do, and we should really be thinking about training ourselves as we go. So we built Cyberfi. Cyberfi is available for $9.95 for an individual, and for large enterprise, it's an awful lot cheaper than that because of the scale. But it can be bought online from cyberfi.com, and it fundamentally, if you don't mind me scrolling up, deals with all aspects of business and cybersecurity. It introduces the jargon and the things we need to know and what we're talking about, how to work safe, how to be safe on the web when navigating the web, how to secure networks and mobiles, how to work safely from home, how to understand the cloud and think about, cloud, setting up the cloud, or using cloud, or when to use it, and what to use it, and what it is, and all those sorts of jargon busting things that we need to think about. And fundamentally, for business owners, the things that business owners need to understand and be aware of, things like data breach reporting obligations, all of that sort of stuff. So it assumes not much knowledge, and it takes people all the way through so they can feel quite well protected. Loads of stuff in it, lots of video, downloads, all sorts of interesting things to keep people engaged. And you can rattle through it in about 35 minutes, or you could take a lot more time and get a lot more out of it. So that is Cyberfi. And if I go to the platform itself, if you were to buy it, you would then go to the course like this, fingers crossed, there we are. Here is the platform. It's been built on a web-based learning management system. So it's highly scalable. You can roll it out to tens of thousands of users, or just yourself, depending what you want to do. And it takes the user or the person through all of these various things. And we've got, as I say, we've got, all sorts of video in here.
There's like.
There's our, it's very approachable as well. It's not hackers in hoodies at the end of the day. I have a problem with cybersecurity being, all about, doom and depression and doom and gloom. Actually, this is a continuous improvement process that we're in. We're all trying to do better business. We're all trying to be safer. In the same way that we approach security to our house, we may put alarms and CCTV and lighting in. It's the same thing with cybersecurity. We need to approach it from an affordable perspective, and just be sensible about it and give people the right knowledge so that they can be informed. Let's get rid of that. Perhaps you can deal with that. Thank you. And as I say, there is an awful lot of information in here. I'm just rattling through the intro. There's a lot of information, but there's also sort of highly, interactive various things like this and so on in here. So we spent a lot of time and effort and energy building up this this process, taking you through email fraud, scams, various things, odd story here and there from the world of cybercrime and how to keep yourself safe. And really, I think.
Just chiming in there, Tony.
Yeah.
Speaking from personal experience and knowledge of Cyberfi, it's very, non-techy. It's really simple and easy to understand for, anyone from any background, as far as, any stage of their business or business growth, so to speak. But it is really, really essential to be aware of those potential risks that your business is taking as you grow and as your team grows, because you tend to go towards the easy options for file sharing and CRMs and integrations, and as you're growing, the risks increase. So Cyberfi is brilliant. And
thanks for that, Katrina. That's great. So as I say, we've just the last sort of 30 seconds. I know we're sort of a bit over time. We've designed it to be exactly that, non-techy, to deal with the process, the people, the policy. People have got compliance obligations, but they've got to do training. Perfect for that. And as I say, it's just available to anyone, anywhere, to buy online. We don't get in the way, and we've poured everything we know into it. So hopefully that's helpful and it's useful, and people will get something out of that, and ultimately it will help businesses stay safer online, which is kind of the point.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tony. Any questions for Tony, guys?
I have a quick question on Cyberfi, Tony. Is that designed for, so you're talking obviously non-techie, if you have someone in the IT team, would they need to know this about where to set, or they already know this and it should be for people not in IT?
So what this is not a guide to how to set up antivirus on a Mac. This is not how to configure your firewall. This is very much, and it's not dumbed down either. It does start with the jargon, but it then takes you through a whole bunch of, this is what to look out for. This is why, this is how to stop it. These are the things you need to put in place. Here's a whole bunch of checklists and cheat sheets and various things that we've got in there you can download as you go along the way. And if you implement all of that as you go, you'll have a business which is 80% better protected than it was on when you started this. The assumption is that the tech professionals who look after that protection piece, and there's many on this on Digital Toolkit here, can do all of that, and absolutely need to do that well and professionally. Or read the guidebook. If you're going to do it yourself, we're not here to do that, but we are here to say this works. This is what you need to know about. These are the problems. These are the scams. And this is how you need to protect yourself. This is a best practice guide to how to do all of that. And if you need to dive into some of the detail, go and get the help where you need to get it from.
So managers and decision makers.
Well, everybody really. I mean, managers, decision makers, staff. It's absolutely for anybody and everybody. We've done this training for an organisation that had gardeners do it. And the CEO did it at the same the same level, because the gardeners are all working off iPads with their various rosters on them and things like. Everybody's connected in some way. Everybody needs to do this training. So yeah, it's for everybody.
Thank you.
I'd like to chime in there. I think over time you're going to find that organisations, to get any sort of cyber insurance, are going to have to go through some sort of compliance course like Cyberfi. It's going to happen. They're going to have to go through this regimented process. Even businesses like us who are very, very techie, you still got to get back to that fundamentals of what to look for, because if you're so deep into it, sometimes you miss the small bits. And it's the small bits that get you. And it's always going to be that human element. So I think it's a great product. I've had a really good look at it. I think it's well worth the money for small, medium and large businesses to certainly have a go at it.
Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to keep it affordable, very low cost, and just do it. I think that's the most important thing. People need this training, and it's a must-have. And certainly from government perspective, governments all over the world are saying that you need to train your people, and it's the biggest bang for buck you can get. It's pretty inexpensive to train. There's a lot of bigger investments in technology that don't get used properly because people don't know how to use them. So train is what I would say.
Brilliant session there, Tony. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.